Oh, so if you weren't here last week, I came back after a couple weeks of being introduced to the idea of Bell's palsy. And that is just it's where the face muscles are not communicating with the nerve endings or something like that. So that part of your face it's on vacation. Yes, it's on vacation. It's taking a leave of absence. And I've had lots of opportunity to explore it and seek different treatments, all the while including in that prayer and meditation, visualization, focusing on a universal law that says, my life unfolds as I am being. You have ever thought of that or heard that? My life unfolds as I am being. And when I say being, I'm talking about the energy, the frequency, the essence that I am living from, especially living from a certain essence for a period of time, chronically, or something really strong and powerful that's come through my life that kind of set a frequency in my being. And because we live in a universe where everything is responding to energy, it's an attractive universe, then it's important to pay attention to your regular energetic signature that you're sending out and how often you're sending it and how strongly you're feeling it. And I shared last week a little bit about an experience I had just prior to this coming on, where it had to do with feeling like, in a very serious way, I was not able to communicate who I was. I didn't feel like I could or should. And it was painful, it was hurtful in my heart because it was keeping me from being myself with loved ones. And a lot of good reasons, I guess, but it just came to a head just prior to this coming on, where I was feeling great sadness and concern about how to keep a relationship going when you know that you are not yourself with someone that you want to be yourself with. So that kind of information kind of came through and into my understanding pretty quickly, especially since I had just done the message on the throat chakra, which is the energetic center in our body here in this area, the neck and the tongue, the mouth, the lips, all this that helps you communicate, to be able to speak your truth authentically. And I realized I had not been able to do that, and the impact of that in my feeling nature was so strong for several days that it didn't surprise me that out of all the things that I could have connected with in the body, it had something to do with my ability to speak clearly. So I'm working on that. I'm trying to be more mindful this past week about, am I still in resistance to that, or am I finding a way to allow it? Because resisting something is aligning with it. Resisting something is aligning with it. Resisting something is aligning with it. Do you understand that? Yeah, because what you're doing is you're looking at the thing you don't want, or that you fear, or that you're angry about, which turns you into that frequency of the thing you don't want. So I was asking this week, how can I move on beyond that? And that's what I kept hearing was, just move on. Just move on. Just do your best to be in a place where you can imagine life without this thing in your body. What would you be doing right now? How would you be feeling? What would you be thinking about? And create that picture in your consciousness until it started to sink down into that gut level and regularly and deeply to where the body gets the message that this is a non-issue. So that's my work right now. And we kind of did this together in our Thanksgiving Eve service, where I invited you to learn how to be grateful in advance of something happening instead of after something has happened. And so we were looking at taking some time to choose a heart's desire that we wanted to be happening in our life sometime in the next year. And the way that we were able to get the motion going into that desire is to ask ourselves some questions. So up here on the screen, here's a few of the ideas that we put forth. If we think of what it is we'd prefer to be going on in our life, start by just asking ourselves, what is it? What is that thing we prefer? What is the end result? A year from now, we can say has happened in our life. If you don't want to wait that long, then go for 6 months, go for whenever. What is the end result? What would you be doing? And you can ask questions like, who might I be with, or where might I be? One of the most important questions is, how would I be feeling about that? And then see if you can't create that feeling in yourself. If that were happening, I would be feeling relieved, thankful, expectant, joyful, until you can just sit in that energy and start to feel that come alive in you. Ask yourself, how would I be living my life differently than I am right now if that were happening in my life? And is there something I need to surrender in order to make room for that to happen that's contradicting it? What would be the benefits of experiencing this heart's desire? Is it something that I would be using to help other people? Is it creating an essence in me that I haven't yet been able to become? What would that be like? What would my new essence be? How would I have changed if this were coming about in my life? And then you just kind of let those pictures and feelings and ideas come to you in a way that you can take deep breaths of relaxation and gratitude. And as you feel that sense of thankfulness, you're communicating at a deep level, a high frequency, but a deep level in your subconscious, which is where the manifestation begins. You consciously choose and inform the subconscious with feelings and beliefs, and then it gets busy manifesting it, which is a very different approach to moving beyond a crisis than most of us take. Most of us approach focusing on the cause of the crisis. Who is creating it? What should I be afraid of? What am I angry about? What am I feeling helpless about? And once again, when we take that tact, we're now resisting and therefore becoming that which we resist, right? So we need to find a way to stop giving our power to what it is that we don't want. So we stop attracting more of it, stop giving our power away. And that's the question for today, is how do we create our heart's desire in the middle of a crisis? How can we change this scenario for us when we're typically focused on what the problem is or the obstacles that are in the way? So, I probably will talk about this for a while because it's gonna take a few months for this to settle in. But I'm gonna go back to the election and assume that we're still in that what if and what's gonna happen stage, where keep in mind that roughly 50% of the country chose this and 50% of the country chose that. So start from that premise. I'm not alone, and there's plenty of people who want something different than me. It's not just a few. So if you came to the end of the election feeling like, I got my way and this person is gonna fix all my problems, which we often tend to do. We put whatever president under a lot of stress and strain in our mind, expecting them to make our entire life better. So there's 50% of the country that might be feeling that way right now, and there's 50% of the country that feels like, I might as well give up, my chance is gone, I have no power for this to be the way that I want it to be. So what if we moved into a new plane of existence over and above that plane. Remember when Jesus came on the scene in the book of Mark, the first words out of his mouth were, repent, change your mind, the kingdom of heaven has come near. What if we moved into that plane of reality as we move through this next year or two in our country? Whichever way you voted, whether you're feeling good or bad right now, I'm going to ask you all to come up into that plane of reality. Because, as Jesus said, it starts within you. That's where that plane begins, is within your own heart. The kingdom of heaven is within you. And this plane of reality is one where you don't have to depend on government. You don't have to depend on other people thinking like you. You don't have to depend on the stock market going your way. You don't have to depend on healing from an illness through medicine. And I'm not saying I'm anti-medicine. I'm saying do whatever your faith level is. And right now, I'm going to ask you to consider living independent from a material world that most of us see with our eyes as limited. And we're not really sure if we're going to get our good or not. What if we moved into this new plane where the good news is that the kingdom of heaven is everywhere? And the good news is we do. We live in a reality where the kingdom of heaven is everywhere, including within us. It is the all-providing omnipresence of good, and it's here right now. And it's waiting to provide what it is that we need in the middle of a crisis, but we have to see it first. We have to know it in our heart. It requires our realization. And whenever there's a big change in a large group of people, like there has been and is being and will be in our country, it doesn't go away like that, and it's typically it's hard for us to look past, because each one of us are being affected by it differently for different reasons. And so even though some may say, oh, it's no big deal, it's only 4 more years, or finally 4 years of getting my way, that may be true for you, but it may not be true for others, right? That's kind of the way that we might be seeing things right now. So I'm going to invite you into this new reality as playing a role that makes a difference for whoever, or whichever side of the country you're living on, and see if we can't just bypass the whole government thing and find other ways to step into our heart's desire and to create an expression of the divine in our individual lives, in our groups, in our countries, in our world. Wouldn't that be fun? You doubt it. I can see on your face that you doubt that. That'd be nice, Kitty. But okay, so yeah. So I was being reminded recently of, in 2022, it was our 15-year anniversary here at Unity, and we typically do an annual fundraiser. And this fundraiser, we themed the next 15. Now that we've made it the first 15 years of our life together, we're going to go into the next 15, and what will that be like? And we chose that song that has that, love will steer the stars, this is the dawning of the age of... Okay, so that just seemed apropos for moving into the future and love steering our stars, so to speak. And I'm a big believer in free will. It's not like I feel like a horoscope will control your life, but have always had fun reading my horoscope. And you know, when I lived in California and my mom and dad lived here in Illinois, my mom would regularly send me my horoscopes, you know, especially if it had anything to do with finding a man. She wanted to make sure that I was on the lookout because the universe was going to send me a man. So anyway, so we're moving into this fundraiser that was called The Next 15, and I thought it would be fun to find an astrologer who could do a horoscope for Unity's next 15. And a friend of one of our congregants here, Kate Heinricher, was who I connected with. And I kind of surprised her when I said, I'd like you to do a horoscope for a church. That was probably the first time for her. And I didn't even know if it could be done. And she said, oh, sure, it can be done. So we recorded her and we showed her reading on the screen. And I wanted to just give you the last little tidbit of what she said, because it included the years 2025 and 2026. And I think there is some instruction or potential in this particular idea that she shared with us. So it'll be real short, and I'll just warn you that I think her mouth is not moving at the same as her audible words. So pay attention to what you're hearing. Okay, are we ready in the back with the sound? Let's go ahead and play that.
In the immediate future, I must say, I think that 2023 is going to be a beautiful year for community building and community engagement. I also can kind of see that 2025 and 2026 are going to be huge years for the congregation and for the mission of Unity in Naperville. Long story short, I can really see here that in 2025 and 2026, the mission and the message of unity will be more important, more needed than ever. So 2023 will be a really important time, focus on community building, and 2025 and 2026 are going to be very, very important times for Unity to be sharing its message and really building and expanding its uniqueness to everyone in its wake. So
Thank you. So what'd you hear? Community. Isn't that funny? She said 2023 would be a time of community for us. What did we do in 2023? We built our cafe. We built our cafe. And it was going from, when did we actually open it up? Was it this spring or last spring? 2024 Easter, is that right? Okay, so in 2023, that's when we got the idea. That's when the board started working through all the elements of that. That's when we invited you into giving towards it and designing it and ordering things so that we're living that new community experience there. But what did you hear about 2025 and 2026? Don? Bringing others into the community. Sharing the message. What did you say in the back? We're needed. Yes. Let me see if I had more. That our mission and our message will be more important than ever and needed more than ever. Our mission, we're a vibrant, inclusive community for personal growing and joyful knowing of our oneness in spirit and with each other. That's our mission, to remember who we are in spirit, to continue to grow in spirit, and to and recognize our oneness in spirit with each other. This is a pretty good time for that to be emphasized, wouldn't you say? Yeah. And that we have an opportunity to be way showers in that. And I continue to see new friends come in week after week here that are hearing about these ideas for the first time in their lives. And then there's many of you that have been here since 2007 when we first started and are learning, have learned, are demonstrating what it's like to apply these principles. So thank you for both those who are new and having the courage to try this out, and those of you who are practicing and honing your spiritual understanding. Part of this process over the next few years is going to give you an opportunity to surrender some things. Who here likes the word surrender? Thank you, Jake. Talk to Jake later. Claire, Kevin likes it. Yeah, find out why after the service. But what part of the surrender here is to be able to decipher between what is fact and what is truth. Because we're going to be given lots of facts over the years about, well, at least in people's belief systems. It's a fact that this person will do this against what I want, or it's a fact that our economy doesn't have enough money in it. It's a fact that this COVID is coming back and going around. I'm going to ask you to do your best to go above and beyond. Step into that higher reality, beyond the facts, and step into the truth. And the truth is whatever lives in the spiritual dimension that we have access to and we can demonstrate. So a lot of times we say their party is in power. It may be a fact that their party is leading the government at the moment. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are your power or they have your power. The truth is there's only one power. It's everywhere present. It's infinite, so it's available to us all. So do you hear the difference between putting your faith in facts versus putting your faith in truth? And that your true power will support you when you can stay aligned with truth. So that every time you think the doctor is saying, I'm incurable, you can say, well, that might be on a list of facts and statistics. But the truth is, my body, my mind, my spirit is one with the divine and one with divine life. And so I choose to look at that. I choose to align my frequency with that to allow that to begin to express in my life. And that will be true about your health, your money, your relationships, your politics, any decision that you have to make. You will have an opportunity to either say, listen to the facts according to statistics, or you will have an opportunity to say, how does God express in me in this? What is the eternal nature of God in this particular experience? Where is my true power? Once we realize who we really are, we have the ability to establish this new reality in our life. There's a single, we say there's only one presence. In quantum physics, they'll say there's a single unified field of energy/information. Have you ever heard that said? An infinite field that's energy and information, and you can't pinpoint it and outline it and describe it at that point. It's known as a wave. Have you heard that? How all the single field of energy is a wave that is everywhere present. Gosh, that sounds like omnipresence, doesn't it? And at some point, when you make a decision about something that you don't like it, you have turned that wave into a particle, and it collapses into something manifest in our life. We decide what it is, and it starts with our choosing it, thinking about it, giving it power, fearing it, being irritated by it, and resisting it. So just continue to be mindful of what it is you are giving your power to, what it is you are agreeing with, so that when your reality comes into visibility, it is something that you want. One of the things that we don't have the power to do is to decide someone else's reality. Okay, so free will on the top of the list when it comes to universal laws. And we cannot say this world is changing because I decide for you that you're going to be different in how you live your life to make my life better. Instead, we have to surrender the reality of ourselves, our own life, for our own life to change and get better. And you will notice it will not matter what other people are living. This is the fun thing about where we are headed. hear me. We are moving into a state of reality that we will be living from a higher state of consciousness on a regular basis. Not everyone will be there at the same time. What matters is that you move at your pace consciously to keep checking in with, how am I aligned with truth right now? What is true for me in comparison to the truth of God? And then slowly but surely, if you'll remain consistent at looking at those thoughts, you will begin to manifest them. And I really believe that we can literally live at different planes of existence at the same time on this planet. I think it's happening right now. I don't have it yet. I just know in my heart level that it's like a grandfather clock. You probably heard a story about, okay, let me start here. Let me start with a story about the Dutch physicist. His name was Christian Huygens. In the 17th century was the inventor of the pendulum grandfather clock. He had a room full of these types of clocks of various sizes, and one day he went around the room and he started the pendulums of the clocks in motion at different times. And when he left the room, the pendulums were all swinging individually. When he returned the next day, he found that all of the pendulums of the grandfather clocks were locked in step with the largest of these clocks. And we call this entrainment, a phenomenon of sound in which the powerful vibrations of one object will actually change the vibrations of another object, causing the second object to lock in step or synchronize with the first. Because our pendulum is built into our consciousness, we have the opportunity to say, no, I don't want that. But if our heart's desire is to rise in consciousness and we happen to be around a being with a higher state of consciousness, we can move into entrainment with them and learn how to be that way for ourselves. So think of how it was with Jesus, where he walked around and people who needed healing, all they had to do was just be in his presence to experience rising up in a higher frequency. He was the grandfather clock, and he was calling all the watches to come into entrainment with him by simply seeing who they really were. That's your work here in Unity, is to see people as they really are. You have to, if you want the world to change and not like take control of someone's free will, but to be able to connect with those who desire something better in their life, they just don't know what it is yet. If you want that to happen, then you have to, first of all, know it for yourself. Know who you are as a spiritual being, and that your true nature, think of it as Jesus, that lived above and beyond sickness because he lived in a higher reality. And all he had to do was look at other people as living in that reality with him and know that so deeply that when they entrained with him, they became that vision of truth. And we have an opportunity while we're still on this planet, because I know, we're probably halfway through our lives, most of us, but we've still got plenty of years yet for us to be mindful of this possibility that the world around us can be entrained into our next level of being. That we didn't come here just to, be miserable and let the physical, mortal world determine our well-being. We came here to experience that, but then remember who we really are and rise up into that level of consciousness, not just for ourselves, but to be a grandfather clock to those around us who can bump into a higher way of being, not even really understanding it at first, but I think when they're around it enough, when they see it enough, there will be a desire in them because their heart is their higher self, and it's always ready to move up. It's just consciously they may not be aware of it. So don't give up hope about where you think the world is going based on facts, based on the material. when we've also got an entire spiritual dimension intertwined with us right here and now, and that we can be living from that despite the outer circumstances. So one of my teachers in this realm is Sarah Landon, and she wrote a book called The Wisdom of the Council, and she's an intuitive and has an ability to kind of receive downloads from her higher self, her spirit. And one of the things that she said in this neighborhood was, what is asked of you more than ever in experiences of great change is to stay conscious, stay present, practice all that you know, be in peace, and create an entire field of peace within and around your being. Change is always going to happen. We want you to get really good at navigating change with ease. Listen to these words: balance, harmony, peace, joy, and ability to hold a higher perspective of whatever is happening around you instead of going into mass conscious fear. Can you do that? Can we go into this next year with a new party in charge and a new president in charge, and can we rise up above that level of living into a higher level of reality to where it doesn't matter what the government decides? It will have no effect on you. And the more of us that can get into that state of consciousness, the more it will become contagious to those around us. She goes on to say, choose to elevate your consciousness out of the level of density where imbalance is occurring and guide others to navigate that change with greater ease. Are you up for that? Okay, so you may be going like, how do I do that? How do I do that? How do I do that? I'm doing that. I'm asking that question right now. How do I do that? How do I do that? How do I do that? And most of it is going to come from whenever you feel something low frequency, you know what that feels like, fear or worry or negativity of some kind. That's your moment to change your reality and to move in consciousness to a higher way of being by remembering what this is all made of. That this wave is waiting to be called into a particle, and we can create good or bad. It's up to us. So we can either complain for the next 4 years and then someone will get elected and we'll complain for another 4 years and someone will get elected and we'll complain for another 4 years. Or we can ignore all that and we can live our life according to our true reality. You are spiritual beings here having a temporary human experience with the opportunity to live the spirit in this human environment. So we are not stuck in the lower level frequencies, but that we look at it and go, now as spirit, there's no sickness in me. As spirit, infinite substance is everywhere present. As spirit, I'm breathing and being love when I choose to. And when in love, I am living in a harmonic environment where everything is working together for good. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Kitty. You don't have to know how to make this work. All you have to know is that it's possible, that there is infinite potential here. And every time you try and figure this out with your brain, Kitty, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it. So the work I've been trying to do lately is to just know that it's available, that the infinite potential is available, that I have the potential to hear my higher self, to hear the voice of God, to hear my spiritual guides, whatever you want to call them, that divine wisdom, to guide me in the next step. Let's not worry so much about the end of next year or 4 years from now or 20 years from now. Let's just focus on the moment, okay? Yeah, so how about if we take some time in meditation and see if we can't get in the habit of changing our way of thinking. You want to just lower the lights a little bit? Thank you. And Enoch, thank you for supporting us today. So let's just feel our feet on the floor and go through this floor, this building that we're sitting in, and sense the planet beneath it. Sense its immensity and the gifts that it's giving us right now. And imagine that, yes, it's material, it's physical, but at a deeper level, it's of spirit. The planet that we are depending on and living on is of spirit, first and foremost. So let's just take a moment to breathe into that spirit that's at the heart of our planet right now and feel our connection to that spirit of planet Earth. When we take a deep breath, just imagine the divine light at the center of the earth coming up into your heart and lighting up your heart right now. Breath, deep breath in, divine light coming up from the center of the earth into your heart space, and just entraining your heartbeat with the heartbeat of the divine. And as that presence makes itself known in your heart, just feel your whole being disentangling from any fear or frustration. Give yourself permission to disentangle for just 5 minutes and feel the power of that divine light soothing you, calming you. As you breathe, breathe in an idea of relaxation and relief. And while you may feel the body that you think you are, allow yourself now to realize this body that I feel is my vehicle, but it is not me. And I'm so grateful for you, body. I love you so much. All that you've provided for me my entire life, my ability to have this experience, I'm so grateful. And at the same time, I am infinite and beyond the boundaries of this body. It's a fact that I have legs and arms, but they are not the truth of me. My truth is I am spirit. I'm an extension of the divine. The one presence is expressing as me and as every other being on this planet. My heart desires to know that above all things, that I am spirit and I create good even in crisis. That this power that I am, this power that the divine is expressing as me, never held back, it never runs out, it's never used against me, it's only good. And in this moment, I'm going to choose peace as my next focus. I choose to be peace. Just ask your heart what else wants to come through you now. Maybe it's balance or strength. Maybe it's harmony or freedom. As we create our future with gratitude, we imagine a year from now, how will I be living my life? How might I be a way shower for others? I imagine hearts opening all around me. Hearts that are coming into deeper understandings of their truth. Hearts that are aligning with one another in peace. See that divine light that began at the center of this planet as a light that is opening your heart, and sending out a beautiful loving frequency to your loved ones, sending harmony to those that you're not really familiar with, but you want to feel connected to. This heart's desire to know our oneness, to live from our higher self, is not only our truth, but ready to be lived here and now. Just take this moment to sit in your power, the infinite, eternal spirit that you are. See that loving heart beating in you that is desiring good for everyone. And that is sending light and touching the light of the hearts of everyone around you. No matter what is happening in the world around you, no matter what facts are being printed in the news, online, take a step back and up into a higher truth. There's only one power. It's the goodness of God. And only I give it permission to work for good in my life. And so I do. I allow divine power, divine presence, divine understanding to express fully and freely in me and as me. For this is the truth of my being. I do not need to know how. I just allow and trust my good is flowing. My good is flowing, and I am knowing my oneness with spirit and every being here on this planet. I surrender all that gets in the way of that, trusting God's infinite good is the only power, and it never runs dry. And I am grateful. I am grateful. I am grateful. This is the truth of my being, and I choose to let it be. And so it is. Amen.